I've got to report to El Toro.
But you said you was on leave for the 4th.
Yeah, well, they canceled it. Look, why are you acting like this?
Why? That's why.
To unlock the Simply Repulsive achievement, you need to have reached Mission 7. About halfway through, you'll unlock the saucer's Repulsotron ability, a temporary shield that can deflect any missiles.
Look, I really don't think they flew 90 billion light years to come down here and start a fight and get all rowdy. Look, why don't you just relax? I'm gonna report to El Toro, find out what's going on.
And that's where you're wrong, Captain Hiller. Not only did I fly 90 billion light years just to start a fight, I consider it a great achievement, and even made a guide on the subject. But before we get into that, greetings and salutations, everyone, to an informal guide to the ace of space. My name is Ronan, and I will be helping you earn a 3-star rating in all of the challenges, crowning you the ace of space. There are 6 levels in Destroy All Humans, each containing 4 types of challenges, meaning we have 24 that we need to earn a 3-star rating in. The 4 types of challenges are Race, Abduction, Rampage, and Armageddon. Each requires a different task for us to complete in order to score points. So we're going to go through each type as a set. If you're looking for a specific challenge, here's a list with the time so you can skip ahead. Alright, let's get this show on the road. We'll start things off with the race challenges, the first being available in Turnipseed Farm after completing Mission 5. Now these are pretty straightforward, with the only real difference between them being the levels themselves and the paths they take. The entire objective is to chase down a malfunctioning probe and collect the DNA packets it drops along the way. The faster you pick up these packets, the more points you'll earn. As you progress into more difficult levels, the faster and more precise you'll need to be. Here are some tips to help you out. Tip number 1. After completing Mission 5, you'll unlock the dash ability. This is nice in itself, allowing you to change directions on a dime, but the main thing you're going to want is the skate upgrade it offers. Purchasing it will allow you to continue dashing for a short time. To extend it further, there are 2 upgrades you can purchase. The Supercharged Super Kinetics, which is available to purchase after Mission 8, and the Level 3 Zero Friction being purchasable after Mission 13.5. These upgrades are nice, but only the Level 2 is really a must-have due to how the race challenges work. Which leads me to my next point. Tip number 2. Collecting DNA packets doesn't just earn you points. It also recharges your skate, dash, and jetpack abilities, extending their use, allowing you to maintain your momentum and perform actions you normally wouldn't be able to outside of the race challenges. Tip number 3. There are several ways to manage your altitude when using your jetpack. The first is the standard method of pressing and holding the button to your jetpack to maintain your altitude. Nothing too fancy here. The second method is using your focus mode in tandem with your jetpack. Holding this down while airborne will maintain your altitude automatically until your jetpack runs out of juice. Just be careful not to hold down the dash button while doing this. If you do, it will cause you to plummet to the ground. Which leads us to the third method, which is using the dash ability and the jetpack interchangeably. If you release the jetpack button, then begin pressing the dash button, it will cause your jetpack to retract completely. Apart from rapidly decreasing in altitude, it will also allow you to save your jetpack's charge and then redeploy it later while still airborne. All these methods become even more useful when factoring in the recharge boost you get when picking up a DNA packet. Tip number 4. Sometimes the probe you're chasing will make an aggressive turn. If this happens, do not rely on your current skate's momentum to make the turn. 9 times out of 10, you'll speed right on by, unable to correct for the change, wasting more time. Instead, let go of the button and then press it again to dash towards the new direction of the probe. And tip number 5, don't be discouraged if you don't beat it the first couple of times. The route the probe takes might take several attempts to memorize. It wouldn't hurt to slow things down on where you're struggling to better rehearse for your next attempt. As for the locations, you can find the Turnipseed Race Challenge across the street just to the east of the initial landing site. The Rockwell race is by the giant cow statue on the north side of town. The Santa Modesta race is in the radio station parking lot in the center of the city. The Area 42 race is in the second base, located in the far south corner of the map. The Uniontown race is below the water tower just northeast of the giant silos. And the Capital City race is fittingly right in front of the Capitol building, which is just north of the invasion site. Next up we have the Abduction Challenges, the first of which is available in Turnipseed after Mission 1. Each of these requires you to grab specific targets with your psychokinesis and then throw them into the mothership's colossal abducto beam. Almost all the abduction challenges can be done with your base PK abilities, with the exception of Santo Modesta and Area 42 challenges. They will require the level 3 psychokinesis upgrade to be able to earn bonus points, which can be acquired after mission 13.5. Here are some tips to consider when attempting these challenges. Tip number 1. All of these challenges utilize your psychokinesis ability, which can be used in 2 slightly different ways. The first is to just press and hold the psychokinesis button, then release it to throw the object whichever way you're aiming. Chances are this is the method you've been using up until now. But for the abduction challenges, we're going to have to use something that's a little bit more reliable. A technique I like to call the catch and release method. To start, simply press the PK button, causing the object to be held and carried alongside you automatically. Once in this position, tapping the button again will drop the object without throwing it. This might sound pointless, but it's the secret to gaining points quickly in the abduction challenges. You see, when dropped like this while near or inside the abducto beam, objects still count as being thrown by your PK, allowing you to repeatedly tap the button to grab several items and abduct them in quick succession. The Turnipseed Abduction can be found just to the side of this barn on the hill in the far northwest corner of the map. This challenge is pretty easy and good practice for using the catch and release method. Just stay inside the abducto beam and tap the PK button to quickly pick up and drop the cows. If outside the abducto beam, you can still take advantage of this method if the abducto beam is between you and whatever you're needing to abduct. The Rockwell challenge can be found in the dirt parking lot just south of the fairgrounds. To earn points, you must collect humans, but to earn bonus points, they have to be dead. For this, you're going to want an upgraded Zap-O-Matic. This will make dispatching multiple humans a breeze. Just make sure to keep them within your line of sight because the game likes to despawn them when they're out of your field of view. The Santa Modesta Abduction Challenge is located in the cul-de-sac in the northern part of the map. It requires human-made objects to earn points. The bigger they are, the more points you'll earn. Cars and vehicles are good, if you can find them, but multiple small objects in quick succession, using the catch and release method, will be what makes up the bulk of the points you'll be earning. Strangely enough, the nearby boat at the beginning of the challenge doesn't count for anything. How about that? Now, early on, you might feel like you're not making as much progress as you should be in this challenge. This is to be expected. The beach is where the majority of the objects are, so don't get discouraged. Just use the catch and release method on all the chairs, beach balls, and umbrellas and you should be fine. The Abduction Challenge of Area 42 can be found on the south side of the airstrip in the main base. Here you'll need to collect military objects. The bigger they are, the more points you'll earn. Once again, large objects are always good, but using the catch and release method on multiple smaller objects still reigns supreme. Try to stay ahead or within the abducto beam and quickly grab any nearby objects. Along the route, there will be multiple stacks of military supplies. This will earn you some serious points with very little effort. Be sure to check the top of the large silos too for a few hidden supply stacks. And remember, soldiers and vehicles count too. As for the larger items, try to grab the giant spools of cable, giant boxes, and steel barricades lying on the ground along the way. Overall, I'd recommend focusing on getting the small stacks of supplies while you can, then switching to the bigger objects when you aren't able to effectively use the catch and release method. The Uniontown Abduction Challenge can be found on the northeast corner of town. Only Union workers count for this challenge, and the more alive they are, the more points you'll earn. You can probably guess what I'm going to say at this point. Catch and release all the way, baby. There's no other way about it. You could try and throw them normally, but this will take too much time. Time you'll lose with each throw, giving more opportunity for the other humans to run away. Apparently, people don't like getting abducted. Who knew? The Capital City Abduction Challenge can be found just south of the invasion site, right beside the Washington Monument. For this challenge, you'll earn points for abducting majestic agents. And the best kind of agent is a dead agent. Use your arsenal to deal with the majestic agents, then toss their corpses into the colossal abducto beam. Just be careful though, because their weapons can pack quite a punch.
How much that stings?
Try to follow behind the abducto beam in this challenge, and use the Washington Monument as cover, and then take out the agents on whichever side you happen to be on. The Zap-O-Matic and the Brain Extraction with the transmitting upgrade are your best options for quickly destroying the agents. Well, the best options that leave a corpse behind, that is. Just avoid getting the third and final upgrade for the Brain Extraction if you can. It might sound good at first, but will only slow you down in these challenges. Rampage Challenges are missions where you must destroy targets in very unorthodox ways. The first is unlocked in Turnipseed after completing Mission 2. Here are each of them and what you need to know to make them easier. You can find the Turnipseed Rampage challenge in the field across the pond in the southwest corner of the map. If you get lost, just look for the field marked with a crop circle. You can't miss it. In this challenge, you'll be tasked to destroy an onslaught of angry farmers. Using PK to smash them into oblivion or throw them into the lake will earn you bonus points. You won't be needing any PK upgrades for this challenge, but I would recommend upgrading your shields if you're struggling to stay alive. As time progresses, the more enemies will begin to spawn in at an overwhelming degree. Because of this, I'd suggest throwing the farmers into the lake. This will ensure that they are destroyed immediately and quickly. Now be sure to stay close to the lake. This will lure the farmers closer to you and their watery demise. If you still feel like there's too many enemies, you can also land your saucer at the landing site nearby and use it as additional cover. But if we're being honest, the biggest struggle in this challenge isn't the rate of farmers that load in, it's the rate of frames. The Rockwell Challenge can be found out front Howard Cook's restaurant near the center of town, just east of the drive-in movie theater. It requires us to prepare a barbecue by destroying some cows that are lured in by this beacon.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard.
Using weapons that cook the cows will earn you bonus points. The best weapon for this is the Zap-O-Matic, but the ion detonator, disintegration ray, and explosive barrels work too. The Santo Modesta Rampage challenge can be found just east of the invasion site when loading into the map. Here you must destroy the various enemies that spawn in, but destroying them with explosives will be what earns you bonus points. This might sound simple enough, but can be quite daunting early on. Even constantly dispatching enemies with a fully upgraded Zap-O-Matic will barely get you by, meaning earning bonus points in this challenge is a must. However, the provided explosive barrels are too limited, both in range and in number. And quite honestly, I'm not exactly blown away by their overall execution, or lack thereof. Half the time, they won't even explode when thrown at an enemy. This can create a very frustrating experience for those attempting it. Luckily, there's a single saving grace for this challenge in the form of the ion detonator. This weapon, which is available upon completing Mission 9, counts as an explosive. Even a non-upgraded version will make this challenge a cakewalk. Try to make every shot count and transmogrify any scrap if you need the additional ammo. The Area 42 Rampage challenge can be found on the far south side of the large military base in the center of the map. The only thing that earns us points here is destroying the tanks, and using explosives to do so will earn bonus points. There's only one weapon in your arsenal that can do this, and that's the ion detonator. But it by itself won't be enough, because even a fully upgraded version isn't powerful enough to take out a tank with a single shot, which creates two problems for us. The first involves your ammo consumption. Each tank or group of tanks will take at least 2 shots to destroy, burning through your very limited supply, which is only exacerbated by our second issue, the ion detonator's transmogrify upgrades. If your ion detonator has any of these, each shot will have a chance of transmogrifying the tanks before they are considered destroyed, robbing us of all potential points. Thankfully, there's a way we can avoid both of these problems. Just use the disintegration ray to weaken the tanks to around half health first. Then finish them with the ion detonator. Doing this will conserve your ammo and still reward you bonus points for each tank, even if it gets transmogrified after. If you accidentally misfire an ion detonator, don't worry. You can prevent it from being wasted by using your PK to pick it up and throw it. If you need health or just want to keep the soldiers off your back, don't forget to use your brain extract ability on them. The Uniontown Rampage challenge can be found northeast of the invasion site, just in front of the 4 large silos. In this challenge, you must decimate the nearby workers. Using PK or explosions will earn you bonus points. This will be the last challenge involving explosive damage. If you have been following me up to this point, you already know what weapon I'm going to suggest, the ion detonator. You're more than welcome to use PK to take out the enemies, but personally, I think this takes too much time. Even using the nearby explosives doesn't guarantee a single human casualty. This leaves your ion detonator as the best weapon for the job. Upgrades are nice and will make things that much easier, but are not required. If you're looking for suggestions though, the vortex coils will help pull in both enemies and objects. Those objects can then be turned into additional ammo drops by the transmogrify upgrades. Finally, it wouldn't hurt to have an upgraded skate ability to maneuver around the challenge area. Although quite small, your challenge targets will only spawn in at certain places, requiring you to run back and forth to rack up points. The Capital City Rampage Challenge can be found in front of the White House, just southeast of the invasion site. Here, we must destroy more Majestic agents to earn points. Using the Anal Probe and Brain Extract to destroy them will earn us bonus points. A few things to consider during this challenge. I'd highly recommend getting a fully upgraded Anal Probe gun for this. The upgrades will make it both easier to use and help deal with the super agents that will inevitably spawn in. If you're confused on the timing of this weapon, just hold down the trigger until the arrow moves all the way down and glows white. Releasing the trigger any other time will cause a cooldown before it can replenish its ammo. Now, your Brain Extract ability will be just as useful in this challenge, especially if you have the first two upgrades, allowing you to deal with multiple enemies with a single Brain Extract without needing to focus on them. But a word of caution. If you can, do not, and I repeat, do not invest in the third upgrade for this ability. It will only slow you down. Instead of instantly killing an enemy, it has a chance of turning them into allies, which normally isn't a bad thing. But in a challenge that requires enemies to be killed quickly and in a specific way, it becomes counterproductive. It also slows down the spread of the transmitting upgrades and risks these new allies killing other enemies before they are infected, robbing you of potential bonus points. If you have purchased this upgrade already, you're not completely out of luck. This challenge is still very much doable. You're just gonna have to be a little quicker and more aggressive with that Anal Probe. Maybe even throw in a well-timed ion detonator into the mix if you're pressed for time. Regardless of having this problematic upgrade or not, the best method is to use your Brain Extract ability on one group of enemies, then immediately switch focus to another group with the Anal Probe, effectively extracting DNA from both ends of the battlefield, as well as your enemies. Last up, we have the Armageddon Challenges, the first of which being available in Turnipseed after Mission 9. These challenges are centered around cruising in your saucer while causing as much destruction as you can.
Damage report! Damage report!
It's okay. It's all right.
Well, actually, that was just footage from the movie Independence Day, but the real laser would be a lot like that. Yeah. Scary.
Destroying anything in sight will award you points, while draining specifically highlighted vehicles around the map will earn you bonus points. There's not too much more to say in regards to the specific levels, so I'll go over some more general tips that will apply to all the challenges as a whole. Tip number 1. Your main priority should always be to go after the highlighted vehicles. Just pick them up with your abducto beam, then press the drain button. Don't forget that mashing the button will speed up the process. These will earn you the most points, so ideally you'll always be heading towards one as they spawn in. While doing this, you want to destroy as much as you can along the way. Tip number 2. If you find yourself low on ammo but don't have a lot of time, you can actually drain and transmogrify these vehicles at the same time. To do this, start by draining them first, then shortly after, begin mashing the transmogrify button with it. You'll still earn the bonus points for draining it, but also turn the leftover scrap into ammo for your weapons. Which brings me to tip number 3. The Sonic Boom and Quantum Deconstructor are the best weapons for this challenge, because they can be aimed and fired while on the move. The Death Ray is still useful in a pinch, but due to the challenge requiring you to be constantly moving, you can't really afford to sit and wait while aiming it. Instead, the Sonic Boom will act as your primary weapon, with the Quantum Deconstructor acting as support. I recommend prioritizing all upgrades to the Sonic Boom to increase its overall capacity and damage. Once fully upgraded, start working on your shields and the Quantum Deconstructor. Forewarning though, picking up the Neutron Field Fluctuations and Repulsar Charge Accumulator upgrades might spawn in so many ammo drops, it can cause the game to crash. Either that or we destroyed so much it broke the game. The Turnipseed Armageddon Challenge can be found in the northeast corner of the map, near the landing site where we started the game. The Rockwell Challenge is by the entrance to the Blue Moon Drive-In Theater on the east side of town. The Armageddon Challenge in Santa Modesta is located in the northwest corner of the map, just west of the baseball field. The Area 42 Challenge can be found in the center of the Majestic compound between the small towers. The Uniontown Challenge is just west of the invasion site on the far side of town. and the Capital City Challenge can be found in front of a gazebo on the west edge of the city. And with that, the title of Ace of Space is yours. I hope this guide was of some use to you, and as always, leave a comment telling me your thoughts.
You know, this was supposed to be my weekend off. But no. You gotta come down here with an attitude, acting all big and bad. And what the hell is that smell? I could have been at a barbecue!
Until next time, everybody.